One of my most anticipated films of the year has finally arrived. We finally get our hands on a Mortal Kombat film done justice. Now, I'm a gargantuan fan of this franchise ever since an 8-year-old me found a copy of Mortal Kombat Trilogy just lurking around in his cupboard. My parents, by the way, wouldn't let me play this, hence why it was hidden away. And since then, I have grown massively fond of the franchise. I actually own physical copies of every single game in the franchise. And when I say every single one, I mean every single one. Now, this, of course, isn't the first attempt of a live-action Mortal Kombat film. A lot of people will be familiar with the 1995 Paul Anderson movie, not to be confused with the same Paul Anderson who directed There Will Be Blood, The Master, and Boogie Nights. But people are especially fond of that film. A lot of people even go to the extent of saying it's one of the best video game movies. I don't necessarily agree with that. I would highly recommend that you check out the 2018 Tomb Raider film, or a real hidden gem will be the 2006 Silent Hill film. The 1995 Mortal Kombat seems too safe. It's not remotely violent. It's very PG-13. So you can imagine my excitement when this movie was announced. It's been in development for a very long time. It's rated R. James Wan as producer. I was stoked for this film. And I am somewhat happy with the final product. This is a relatively solid martial arts action movie, which just happens to be a video game tie-in movie. Do I think it's the best video game movie ever made? No, I would probably go to the extent of saying it's probably the second. I still really like the Silent Hill movie. I will, however, say it's the best Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, again, it's not saying too much when all we've had before this was the 1995 Paul Anderson movie, as I previously said, and the film, can we call it a film? That is known as Mortal Kombat Annihilation from '97.
Mother, you're alive. Too bad you will die.
This film is bloody, it's well acted, the fights are fantastic, but most certainly the opening. The best part of this film is without doubt the conflict between Sub-Zero and Scorpion. I cannot stress how great this opening is. Same with the ending. Sadly, if you are going into this wanting to see Scorpion and Sub-Zero, you might be a little bit disappointed as they're not in the film all that much, especially Scorpion. He's only really in 2 scenes, but Sub-Zero plays a superb villain in the movie. In fact, there are elements to it which feel sort of horror aspects to it, where a family will be in a home and you see the icicles come on the windows. It's really tense stuff, and he was probably my favourite aspect of the film altogether, Sub-Zero. Also, big props to the actor who plays Kano. He is without doubt a scene stealer. Josh Lawson, who plays him, this could be a star-making role. He adds some great comic relief to the film. He makes a lot of pop culture references. I can certainly see him being a fan favourite. Now, in terms of negatives, I don't have hundreds of them. Is this a flawless movie? No, it's still incredibly cheesy. And if I'm being serious, I was actually a little bit let down by the violence here. I think a lot of the marketing team sort of oversold it. I've seen articles such as, "You won't believe how violent this film is. It's not, you'll never see anything like it. It's the most violent film ever made," which is an incredibly bold statement when you consider films like Martyrs, The House That Jack Built, or even something like the Saw movies exist. In terms of the actual fights, there isn't much violence in the actual fights. It's only when someone lays a finishing move that the violence really turns it up to 11, and the best kill, without doubt, in the entire film involves Kung Lao's hat, but I won't go into too many spoilers. But the one thing I was sort of skeptical about the most, which is the inclusion of a completely original character called Cole Young. He's this sort of washed-up MMA fighter who was sort of chosen as Earth champion in this tournament. And yeah, he's boring. He's incredibly boring. Nothing to take away from the actor's performance. The actor's performance is fine. It's just that the character himself is incredibly lackluster. I find it incredibly bizarre that they did this, that they chose a completely original character when you have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of characters to choose from. And I do understand that they needed that fish out of water. They needed that sort of outsider character to come in. But, could that not have just been Johnny Cage, which is what he is in the original film and in the lore of the games as well. I was also let down by some of the fates that the characters endure. I think some people may be pissed off. Some characters are certainly done dirty here. Again, I won't go into too many spoilers, but There are very, very well-known characters that have very minimal screen time and even die in the film. And something else, this doesn't actually focus on a Mortal Kombat tournament. Even though the film is fucking called Mortal Kombat, there is no tournament here. This sort of acts as a sort of prequel, as you know, all these Earthrealm warriors like gathering each other, such as Jack, Sonya, Kung Lao, Liu Kang, and that was a little bit disappointing. There is no tournament here, but I am excited to see where this franchise goes in the future. I would love a sequel. I would just want it to be a little bit more brutal. I would like Johnny Cage to appear, of course, and fuck it, I'm gonna say it. Maybe within the first 5 minutes of the sequel, just kill Cole Young, just rip his spine out. I mean, like he's very disappointing. But again, I wasn't really expecting too much from him. Be that as it may, this is a great fun action film. Good little popcorn flick. Great opening, great closing, some great fights. I was really a big fan of Kano. Really big fan of Scorpion, Sub-Zero. Cabal really surprised me as well. He has this like really thick New York accent. I am going to give Mortal Kombat 3 stars. My expectations were through the roof for this. I was slightly let down, but I had enough fun with it. I very nearly gave it 2.5, but it just about edges it. It's practically not everything I wanted from a Mortal Kombat film, but it's certainly a lot better than I expected. It's certainly the best Mortal Kombat film. And again, I know a lot of people have high nostalgia for that 1995 film, but yeah, I objectively think that this is a much better film. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that cringy shit I don't like saying, and I will see you next time on the next James Edit Reviews.